Let's start right where this whole thing began, because the Chiefs getting called out this week wasn't some random shot or bitterness talking. It was honesty. And honestly, it was deserved. A former Chiefs player was asked a simple question about whether he'd like to return to Kansas City. And instead of giving a boring, canned answer, he told the truth. Not disrespectfully, not emotionally, just truthfully. He said he'd love to be back, but he wants to play for a team that actually involves him, a team that gives him a real opportunity to contribute, not just exist in the offense. And if you're a Chiefs fan who watched this season closely, that should hit a little close to home. Because this isn't just about one player. This is about a pattern. The Chiefs' offense last season had moments where it felt overly rigid, predictable, and honestly confusing in terms of usage. There were stretches where certain players were clearly producing when given chances, only to see their roles shrink without explanation. When a player notices that, and fans notice that, it's fair to ask questions. And that's why this call-out matters. It wasn't personal. It wasn't dramatic. It was accountability. The Chiefs have earned a reputation for innovation, adaptability, and maximizing talent. When that standard slips, even slightly, people notice, especially players who were inside the building and lived it day to day. What makes this sting is that it lines up with what you probably felt. Watching games, drives stalling, weapons disappearing, opportunities left on the field. This wasn't a talent problem as much as it was an execution and usage problem. And when a former player confirms that frustration publicly, it adds weight to what fans have been saying all along. Now, to be clear, this isn't about tearing the organization down. It's about recognizing that even elite franchises need self-reflection. The Chiefs are still one of the NFL's gold standards, but that doesn't mean they're immune to criticism, especially when it's fair and constructive. And that's why this moment matters heading into the offseason. Because how the Chiefs respond to this kind of criticism will tell us a lot about what's coming next. Do they adjust? Do they evolve? Or do they double down and hope talent alone fixes things? Before we move on, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with the former player's criticism of how the Chiefs handled their offense? Yes or no? Drop your take in the comments. And make sure you subscribe to Total Chiefs News and like the video. We're pushing towards 7,000 subscribers, and your support genuinely helps the channel grow. If you're anything like me, this offseason already feels strange, almost uncomfortable. Not because the Chiefs are bad, but because we're here way earlier than we're used to. The season ended abruptly, and suddenly it feels like the entire league moved on, without Kansas City in the spotlight. That's not normal for this franchise anymore. The 2026 Pro Bowl games came and went, and let's be honest, most fans barely noticed. The NFC beat the AFC 66-52, but the result almost felt irrelevant. It was still cool seeing Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey representing the Chiefs, but even that felt muted. Chris Jones and Travis Kelce made the Pro Bowl too, yet didn't participate, which says everything about what the event has become. It's more of a novelty now than a true honor, and nobody really blames players for skipping it. What really makes this offseason feel off is the timing. The Chiefs have essentially been in off-season mode since mid-December. That's when everything unraveled. The playoff loss hit hard, and from that point on, the reality set in fast. Even if things had gone differently in that game, it was clear this team wasn't built to survive deep January football the way it had in years past. And here's the wild part. The Super Bowl hasn't even been played yet. For years, Chiefs fans were spoiled. Conference championship games felt like a minimum requirement. Super Bowl appearances became routine. Now, the big game is happening without Kansas City, and it creates this weird emotional disconnect as a fan. This year's matchup is the Patriots versus the Seahawks, and without any Chiefs bias involved, it's actually an interesting game. Seattle's defense has been playing lights out, and if Sam Darnold continues at the level he showed late in the season, they're tough to beat. No, England has talent, but they've been far less consistent, especially offensively. If I had to call it, I lean Seahawks by about a touchdown, something like 30-21, though a lower scoring game wouldn't surprise me either. But that's the thing. We're talking about other teams' strengths and weaknesses instead of breaking down a Chiefs Super Bowl game. That alone tells you how different this offseason feels. So let me ask you this. Who do you think wins the Super Bowl and why? Drop your prediction in the comments and let's see how Chiefs Kingdom sees it. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe to Total Chiefs News and like the video. We're on the road to 7,000 subscribers, and every single one counts. Now let's talk about the coaching side of this, because it quietly explains a lot of what went wrong. Matt Nagy officially landed a new job, taking over as the offensive coordinator and play caller for the New York Giants. And honestly, good for him. That's a real opportunity to prove himself again as the guy running an offense, not just standing next to Andy Reid. In Kansas City, even during a solid season, everyone knows how this works. Andy Reid is the engine. He's calling the shots, designing the offense, and making the big decisions. Nagy never truly got to show what he could do on his own, for better or worse. Now he gets that chance, and it'll be interesting to see how his offense looks when it's fully his. As for the Chiefs, the coaching staff is still in a bit of a transition period. There are openings at running backs coach and assistant running backs coach, and that matters more than people realize. This offense desperately needs fresh ideas in the run game because what we saw last season simply wasn't acceptable. There's no sugarcoating it. The Chiefs' running back room was bottom tier. Opposing defenses weren't scared of it. Teams consistently loaded up against the pass, dared Kansas City to run the ball, and the Chiefs still couldn't punish them. Even with favorable looks, the production just wasn't there. Missed tackles were rare. Explosive runs were almost non-existent. And that puts the entire offense in a bind. Some fans pushed back and said the offensive line was the real problem. And sure, the line wasn't elite as a run-blocking unit every week, but there were countless plays where a back had space and did nothing with it. No broken tackles, no second-level burst, no ability to flip field position. That's not all on blocking. This is why the offseason approach has to change. The Chiefs have been hesitant to invest real money or premium draft capital into the running back position for years, and the results speak for themselves. Hoping for bargain bin production hasn't worked. Avoiding risk hasn't worked. Yes, a first-round running back didn't pan out in the past. That happens. Draft picks fail sometimes. Letting that scare you away from ever trying again is how problems linger. Whether it's free agency, the draft, or both, the Chiefs have to upgrade this room in a meaningful way. So I want to know where you stand. Should the Chiefs fix the running back position through free agency, the draft, or both? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Total Chiefs News and like the video. We're pushing for 7,000 subscribers, and your support goes a long way. This is where the offseason gets really interesting, because when you look at the 9th overall pick, the Chiefs are sitting in a spot that could shape the entire direction of this roster. And there's no obvious answer, which is both exciting and a little terrifying. Let's start with the defensive line, because that need is loud. Chris Jones is still a cornerstone, but he's being asked to do more and more every season. His snap count went up, the supporting cast around him didn't step up consistently, and that imbalance showed. Kansas City missed reliable production off the edge, and that forced Jones to carry too much of the load. Several pass rushers are being mocked to the Chiefs right now, and for good reason. If a true defensive end who fits Steve Spagnuolo's profile is there at 9, it's hard to argue against it. The defense thrives when pressure comes from multiple angles, not just one dominant interior force. Adding another high motor edge who can play with power and versatility would immediately make life easier for everyone else on that unit. But here's the curveball. Wide receiver is quietly creeping back into the conversation as a premium need. Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, and Tyquan Thornton are all pending free agents. Rashee Rice showed flashes, but didn't fully take over games the way many expected. Xavier Worthy took a step back while playing through injury, though the shoulder surgery should help him rebound next season. Now imagine a scenario where a big-bodied receiver with strong hands and contested catch ability